Hey everybody, what's up? We're live here at EVO Japan. I'm stopping by the 2XKO booth to do a bunch of interviews. And my very first interview, I'm really excited. This is the one I wanted to do because I was like, it's time. The big lady's here. Can you introduce yourself and tell everybody why I'm excited for this?
Oh, my name is Caroline Montano. I'm the game designer for Illaoi. Yay!
The big mama. Everybody this weekend is super excited about this character. What does it feel like to make this character? You're working on her. Everybody on the team's helping, put everything together. To see human beings like not only react online, but then get their hands on this character.
Oh my gosh, it's so surreal actually, because we released that article, 2 years ago, and it goes over all the basics. Y'all played her like last year and got a little bit of a taste, and then now that she's kind of like done, it's like, wow, my baby's all grown up.
She's out there in the wild for everybody to take a look at. But another thing I thought that was really interesting, you mentioned in the article, and you talked about it in the video that was recently, like designing a character like this is so difficult because she has so much identity from League, right? And if you haven't played the games, it's mostly about the Tentacles, right? And how she works in the game. And I thought it was really interesting that you talked a little bit about like whether she should be like a summoner or like a puppet character, or if these should just naturally occur, she should have no control and they just happen, right? What was the process of narrowing down to where you got to now? Because it must have been really difficult.
Yeah, so we had a bunch of different attempts at various ways that the Tentacles could work. Like they could just show up, they could go off of a timer. We had a version where she was more like a puppet character, so she would just summon a tentacle. It was like with the very first version that we tried, and we were like, well, that's OP, so let's not do that. We narrowed it down with the goals because it's like, okay, if we want Illaoi to be the powerhouse, if we want her to be the source of power, then it should start from her, and the Tentacles shouldn't replace what she does. Even when she does use the Tentacles, it should still be like, wow, she's really strong, and like, oh, those things just helped her be more strong.
Yeah. So one thing, if you ever watch people talk about movies, they talk about when they're editing movies, like the composers will send in like temporary music, right? And then while they're editing, they become so attracted, like so used to listening to the old music, that once you give them the final stuff, they're like, no, this isn't right, give me the old stuff. Is there moments in design where you find yourself thinking in some way, like you have a design for the character where you're like, oh, I really like this, and then everybody else is kind of like, does that kind of stuff happen? Is it hard to give it up sometimes?
So it's really funny, the Test of Spirit ended up being the ultimate, right? At one point there was a special where she could hit them, and then you can almost like have a soul, and it was like a little Unreal ball, and then like Illaoi could happy birthday the soul and the opponent at the same time. But it was like not fun gameplay. I was like so attached to the idea of like using her E in like a regular gameplay, and the idea of happy birthdaying the soul and the opponent at the same time was so like appealing to me. So I tried to put in a regular super, I tried to put it in a special, and then I was like, okay, let's just take the soul mechanic completely out. It was just making it too complicated. So now it just became all about the Tentacles, and the soul part was just put in the cinematic. So like that's an example of something where I was really attached to it for longer than I should have been.
Yeah, I imagine it's very difficult, and especially because you play the champion in League, right? Yeah, so how much, like, I'm sure when you're designing and building something, you go back and like do a little check-in, play a little bit, mess around maybe in Sandbox or play some games and stuff like that, but yeah, do you think more or less difficult if you know the champion well in the game than versus like if you were more detached and you're like, I just kind of know how this looks and like I can evoke the right vibe?
Honestly, I think that knowing the champion really well, it helps make them more unique, because like, okay, for example, Kyohei making Yasuo, it's like, okay, you could just make a standard samurai, or you can make Yasuo, which is like, okay, you add the wind stuff, you add the homage to the his ultimate in League, same with Illaoi. It's like, it makes them more themselves if you know the champion well.
I think that makes sense, yeah, because I saw Alex, I know Alex, he was talking about like evoking the true feeling, right, which is such an important thing, and to me, and I'm sure many people, playing them in a fighting game is like the truest form. It feels like you're squeezing it out, because it's one thing to click around and stuff, but then when you're like the human being swinging the buttons and doing stuff, when I first hit like her forward lunging attack, the forward S to the overhead thing, I was like, oh, that feels good, and like when you charge it up, you're like, I am doing this.
Combo off of it.
Yeah, so watching everybody play already, it's like, yeah, this character is really cool.
She's so dope.
And it's just curious, you don't have to spoil anything, but is there stuff that like you're waiting for someone to do and you're like poking your head around to see like, is someone gonna start doing this yet?
Oh yeah, I'm waiting for people to use the charged back S1, for Oki. And so because like it pulls the opponent into the root if they're blocking or if they're hit. And so matching that up with her dedicated cross up, so you jump over. It's like even I don't know if it's gonna cross up or not. Or air S2, which also hits on both sides. So like you basically knock them down, you charge back S1, jump over, air S2. Am I gonna land in front or behind? You choose.
And last thing that I was going to ask about is, for you yourself, is this a character archetype that you normally enjoy playing in games, or is this designing away from your normal playstyle?
This is a character archetype I like, yeah. I do like to play rushdowns. I'll pair Ari with Illaoi to like kind of satisfy that rushdown feeling. But yeah, I do like the big hitters. I won't specify which ones I like to play, but yeah, if y'all hit me up, I'll play some big hitters against big juggernauts.
Yeah, makes sense to me. Any final thoughts for anybody out there? Anything you want to tell them about Illaoi or the video game or your time here at EVO Japan? I mean, what have you been doing? What you been up to? You been stuck at the booth?
Oh no, I've been stuck at the booth. I've been wandering around. I didn't join pools this year, but I've been buying a lot of merch. So anybody who gets a chance to play Illaoi, I hope you enjoy her. I'm very excited to see what y'all come up with, all the combos and stuff.
Yeah, you guys really cooked. I think in this build, she is the coolest looking character. I think she looks really. I think she's the best looking one in this build, which makes a lot of sense. She's really, really pretty. I love all the colors, especially the purple one. If you guys haven't seen that yet, but thanks everybody for watching. We'll have more of these out soon. Thanks for chatting with me. We'll catch you guys next time. Bye.